Hi everyone. On this video I'm going to be talking about the tricky situation when you have to explain to your child about the death of a pet or that their pet is dying. So much depends on the circumstances surrounding the death of the pet and also the age of the child, what personality type they are, all those kind of things. And in a way, maybe it's easier to explain what not to say, how not to make a situation any worse. So for instance, try and avoid using the word loss or lost. We tend to use it as a figure of speech almost. So, I'm sorry for your loss. Something terrible happened today, we lost our rabbit. But something that can be lost is often found. So to a child, they lose a toy and they find it again. You don't want any confusion in the mind of your little one of what to expect. You don't want them to think that they may find their pet again. You may have experienced it yourself at some point where, somebody you love's died and you think you see them in the street and you know that they can't be there. But there's something in your brain because you've been using the word loss and they think, oh, maybe I can find it again. And it makes it trickier to move through the grief process. So that's definitely one word to avoid using when you're explaining about the death of a pet to a child. Something else to avoid is if your pet's had to be euthanized, don't use the phrase, they were put to sleep. The vet put them to sleep. We took them to the vet and they were put to sleep. I've had so many adult clients that have had sleep problems throughout their life because as a child they were told that their pet was put to sleep, and of course that pet never came back from the vets. And so somewhere in the mind and the confusion and the upset, their brain is locked onto that belief that by being put to sleep, that means that you may never come back or that you might die. So even as an adult, that doesn't make sense, but somewhere in your unconscious mind or your subconscious, your brain is locked onto that, and you want to avoid that for your little one. Okay, so be really clear about what's happened in the gentlest way that you can be. So for instance, supposing you have a dog and they've been ill, you might want to say, well, we took them to the vet and the vet gave them some dog medicine, and make sure you specify it was dog medicine or cat medicine, because you're going to go on to explain that the medicine didn't work, and you don't want your child to somewhere form that opinion that medicines don't work. So make sure that they know it was a special pet medicine for their particular pet, and unfortunately in this case it didn't work. If you're going to explain that the vet gave the pet an injection, make sure that you specify and you explain it was a special pet injection. It was a special dog or cat or rabbit or guinea pig injection. Okay, so that again there's no confusion in the mind of your child that injections are harmful and that may go on to kill them, because children don't always think in the same way that adults do. So make sure that you say, it was a special dog injection, and unfortunately because the dog medicine didn't work, they had to give the dog injection, and that meant that it took the dog, whatever your dog's name is, out of pain and stopped them from suffering, and you can explain that the dog has died. And although that might seem crueler in some ways to keep using words like death and died, it's better to explain it in that way for your children. If it's been an instant death, something like a terrible accident, you may find that your children want to go and see where the accident happened. As an adult, we might think, oh, that's not very good at all, we wouldn't want that, we want to protect them from that. But children have a curiosity, and it might make them feel better to actually go and see where the accident happened. And it's really, really important that they know that nobody was to blame, that it was nobody's fault. Even if it was, you do not want your child to think that somebody else is to blame. Somebody left the door open, somebody let them off the lead, somebody didn't lock the rabbit hutch, or the foxes got them, something like that. Try and avoid blaming anybody or anything at this point, because again, it's going to stall the grief process for your little one, and that's not what you want. Some children, depending on their age, might want to draw a picture or write a letter to their pet. Older children might like to write a story surrounding their pet and perhaps what their pet was doing, or like a diary of all the things that they've done in the past. Or they might just like to look at photographs and make a book with the photos in, and perhaps little poems and things like that. All that can help. Depending on your spiritual beliefs, you might want to talk to children about the Rainbow Bridge, or about heaven, and if an adult goes to heaven, then probably a dog does too, or a cat does, depending on what you believe as a family and what your child believes as well. Don't minimize the grief for your child. You might be trying to do the best thing by saying, oh, it's fine, it was only a hamster, but that hamster might have meant the world to your little one. So don't minimize the effect or the death of that pet, however small it might have been. Just let them grieve in a way that is right for them, and let them talk about it. Don't avoid the discussions because it makes you feel uncomfortable. Let your child grieve in the way that is best for them, and let them take as long as they need to do it. And I hope that's helped by giving you some useful little tips that might help you through a difficult time and a tricky situation. And I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.